All right. Good morning, Gemini. Welcome in. I am Abby. I'm the Oddest Oracle, and I'm here to do a tarot reading for you today. I had some messages come through in your meditation, and I felt a story shaping up. So I've actually been kind of excited. Not that I'm not usually excited, but in a different way. It feels like, first of all, Gemini, there's a feeling of regret. But it doesn't feel existential. It's not like, oh, I should have taken a path differently 25 years ago. It doesn't feel like that. It feels more, confirmation. It feels more similar to, I thought I was making things better and now they feel worse. And then quite literally in my dreams last night, excuse me, I got two messages. So one was, if you're eating leftovers all the time, it's time to grow. It just makes me laugh because it's like, what a strange way to say that doing the same thing over and over again is not going to move you forward. But that's how that's how my messages come through. But the main message I got, even yesterday before, as I was in your day meditation, don't get me started, but was the phrase out of the frying pan and into the fire. And that's a phrase I'm sure lots of people know, but if you don't, it means like getting out of one tough situation and then making your way inadvertently kind of into a more tough situation. So today we're going to figure out what your frying pan is, what your fire is, and then what the heat source is. So what's the root of the problem, because we're not going to solve this feeling or this problem or this lesson until we figure out where the heat's coming from. So we'll get into that. I also heard shut the damn door. So, and then I was reminded of that Panic at the Disco song, closing the goddamn door. I had the number 222 and 512 come through, and this really intense feeling of a need for novelty. So we're going to get into oracle decks and tarot. We're going to do charms, but first let's take care of some business at the top. Anything that happens during the reading is part of the reading. You are the arbiter of your experiences, meaning you get to decide if this fits for you or not, but certainly I don't get to tell you who you are or what you're experiencing, and neither do my cards. I shouldn't tell you anything you don't already know, and if I hit anything legal, medical, anything like that has a dedicated field of science with experts that you can consult, I deeply recommend you do that. I don't usually say that, so that's kind of interesting. All right, so first things first, we're gonna get some charms out. We're gonna set the scene, okay, Gemini? Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Interesting. I'm gonna pull oracles on the whole leftovers thing because I feel like that is the strangest. Okay. All right, we have the sun. So Leo energy, enlightenment energy. We have forever. Forever is a very long time. I have the moon, I'm feeling here, and we have a star. Look at that. Oh, forever. We have a fish, so it could be some Pisces energy. It's just one fish though, so it could just be water sign. This is this third eye? Look at that. I believe this is the third eye. Yeah, interesting. Third eye chakra may be important, and I'm gonna ring the bell since it seemed to have come up. We have a cross. We have a butterfly indicating some sort of transformation. We have a dinosaur, which for me always indicates something like really old that you think is dead or think is non-existent, but there are the bones of it still around for you to find, and those bones will teach you things that you didn't already know. I have a heart with a nurse's hat, another cross. So hold on, I'll get there. I have a bird on a branch, perhaps a message or a messenger, and a dolphin. So with the crosses here, and interesting that they're set kind of symmetrically, I'm getting the literal matter, not so much mind over matter, but there is a matter, right? There is a situation or something. But I'm going to pull these oracle cards because I want to get an idea of your energy right now, Gemini. So depending on the card that comes out, I may or may not be able to show it. This deck is called the Sexual Magic Oracle. And so some of the images are a little spicy, but I felt really drawn to this, not necessarily for the literal sexuality of it all, but for the passion it represented, because something, obviously fire, is involved for you. And that's reminding me that Sagittarius, also mutable, but is your sister sign. So there may be a situation where, out of the frying pan into the fire. Let's get, can I get a card for Gemini's energy right now? Thank you, Spirit. Feelings. Well, that makes a certain kind of sense. I think this one might be okay. I am going to pull one more. Feelings for Gemini. That makes a kind of sense. I would be having feelings too if I thought I took care of something and then found out that I made it worse. Which isn't a blame statement. It's just something I'm deeply familiar with. Stop trying to help. You're not helping. Even if it's towards yourself sometimes. All right, do we have anything else for Gemini, or am I supposed to be moving on, Spirit? Been shuffling this deck like crazy. Thank you. Oh gosh, okay, just one please. Temptation. This is an interesting imagery. Temptation for Gemini. Feelings and temptation. We've got Libra and Gemini energy. Look at that. Okay, so you may want to check the Libra reading from yesterday. Libra and then Gemini down here. Maybe check the Libra reading. I didn't feel a super tight connection outside of the fact that they're both air elements, and so it tends to be a really cerebral energy, like pretty thought driven, tends to intellectualize emotions and things like that. And also please remember that this is for wherever Gemini hits in your chart. Spirit, can you tell me, I'm going to use the Elemental Alchemist Oracle deck because I'm feeling like a smorgasbord. Also, novelty, right, Gemini? Gemini, maybe you need some novelty here. So we're going to do things a little with some different cards here. Can you tell me about eating leftovers all the time? Can you tell me about eating leftovers all the time, Spirit? What do we have here? And then we'll get into the tarot gem. Don't worry. Eating leftovers for Gemini? If you're eating leftovers, it's time to grow. Thank you, Spirit. Urge to destroy or violence. Inspiration, creativity. This is that fire energy. This is something inside of you is like begging to get out in a way. Maybe you thought you released something or freed something inside of yourself that isn't. Gemini, what are you feeling passionate about? That plane's really loud. Sorry, guys. What are you feeling passionate about? And is this, oh, tell me, Spirit, is this urge to destroy just more of the passion? Is that what is there? Tell me more about this urge to destroy. Thank you, Spirit. Fertility. Man, this is so much creative energy, Gemini. Feelings, temptation in this very spicy deck. Urge to destroy, inspiration and creativity and fertility here. You want to create, you want to make something. So maybe you thought that you were making something and it didn't. All right, now we definitely need to get into the tarot. All right, so Spirit, can I get a card for the frying pan for Gemini today? What was the frying pan? Frying pan for Gemini. Man, it is noisy out here, Gem. It's a lot of activity going on around you, okay? Which I think you are kind of living for. Novelty, right? Something different, something new, something that isn't, that you don't feel like you've already worn out the experience of. Interesting. And it's like experience plus for such a time as this, right? So it's not the novelty of the experience per se, right? Like I go to the store every week, but I need the novelty of maybe going to a different store. This is a very simple example for what feels like something a little bit deeper and more complex inside of you. Okay. What is the frying pan for Gemini? Thank you, Spirit. All right. Knight of Swords. What is the fire? Two of Swords. Yee, okay. And what is the heat source? Yikes. Okay. All right. Not yikes as in fear. Yikes as in, well, I can see why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, Gem. Goodness gracious. Okay. So the Knight of Swords, again, we're still very cerebral. This is still like air energy, right? Knight of Swords is like quick, but he's blind in this deck. You see, like he's got that helmet on, but there are no eye holes in that. So it's like I'm moving forward without thinking. So the frying pan, the thing that you thought you got yourself out of was this like mental energy of just kind of movement for the sake of movement, which I'd want to get myself out of too, because even Gemini, even being mutable air and being kind of shifty and fractal and, you know, spirally when it wants to be, it does like movement. It likes to experience, to I wouldn't say achieve, because that's definitely more like an Aries energy, but it likes to move, and it does like to have an understanding of where it's going. Gemini energy does. And it's perceptive. Knight of Swords can to me can indicate a pretty perceptive energy, which I think is why some people use it to indicate like spying online and things like that, because there's an energy of like not grounded but very quick, right? Knight of Swords. Okay, so the frying pan is maybe racing thoughts, very quick movement, but blind, not really paying attention to the things that should be in place before we move, which is very interesting because the fire is the Two of Swords. This card is also showing somebody who is not seeing. Okay, so we go from movement, I gotta just movement for the sake of movement, to stillness, but still feeling like you can't see what's going on. What I find interesting is the heat source is death. This is, obviously, if you've been around tarot for a while, we're not necessarily talking literal death. We're talking rebirth and transformation. We're talking something is shifting you. I was going to say shifting inside of you. And so this is telling me that this transformation card is pretty external. So it's feeling like the fire now. So it's feeling like, oh, I'm moving too quickly. I'm not paying attention to what's going on. You know, up in my head, I'm, you know, movement without vision, right? To stillness without vision, right? And so the lack of vision is where we're being transformed. This is what I'm getting here. So I'm going to clarify. Spirit, can you give me a clarifier for the Knight of Swords, please? Tell me more about where Gemini was. The Nine of Wands. So this can be a pretty defensive energy. It can also be like, okay, well, there's more fire, so we'll start there. There's more like, it's like this Nine of Swords, this Nine of Wands is driving the Knight of Swords. I'm moving blindly because I'm defensive and I can't stop to examine this, which Gemini, you can stop to examine it, but I can understand, depending on the circumstances, why you may not. So we're at least going to be honest with each other, right? You feel like you can't, but Gemini specifically can stop. Okay? So we're going to clarify the Two of Swords here. What is clarifying the Two of Swords for the fire, Spirit? Clarifying. Oh gosh. Okay. 3 cards came out, and this is starting to take shape. Okay, look. We've got Judgment, the World, and the Queen of Cups. So I like this Judgment here in the sense of, look how wide open his eyes are. Seeing finally. Seeing will finally end this. I'm reading this Queen of Cups as like holding too much, right? In the reverse, the Queen of Cups is somebody who doesn't really have a handle on her emotions. And in this deck specifically, when we reverse it, we can see how the cup is spilling out. It's, have you ever seen a resentful Cancer? Like a person with really prominent Cancer energy that's resentful. That's what I always think about the Queen of Cups, is just like somebody who's taking care of you but so angry while they do it and just like furious about it. I say that because we're viewing the Queen of Cups in the upright, which is telling me this wasn't an issue of you, or this isn't an issue, depending on where you are in the timeline, of you being incapable of managing and processing your emotions. This is more about deciding where it's appropriate to give your emotions, especially with this Two of Swords here. And so I'm kind of reading this like a mini version, very fractal, very Gemini. I'm kind of reading this like a mini version, right, of the spread. This is meta, right? So each sword, wake up call or end it, right? Because what I can't do is continue with this feeling this way. We go from defensive and moving very quickly without a plan to going within, seeking an answer from your own self. And it's looking like the two choices are judgment or the world. Hold on, I'm getting something else. If we read this more like linear as opposed to circular, because I feel like you need both options. This is trying to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to wake up or wake someone else up to support an ending, right? To complete a cycle with regard to your feelings. That's clicking. With regard to some emotional context, and we are going to clarify that, so don't worry. Let's clarify the Death card. So this, I'm reading this Death card as an external source of pressure, something that is, this isn't, let's give examples. An internal source of pressure would be, I have had my own like awakening. I've looked in the mirror and I have initiated my own change. This is reading to me, with everything here, as external circumstances are providing pressure that's requiring me to make this change. So something outside of you is happening that is pushing transformation. And I think what's coming up most in this is like, I thought I did it. Like, I thought I did the job. And I get that feeling. It's, you know, it's really frustrating because especially Gemini is pretty self-aware. Like, Gemini gets misunderstood and labeled as duplicitous or two-faced, and I think that that's a pretty myopic and singular view of Gemini, which Gemini would hate, right? Because Gemini is not myopic or singular. So I'm not talking about that. It's more like Gemini is okay with, in my experience, obviously, there are integrated and complex versions of every sign, but the Gemini that I'm speaking to is okay with making a mistake and fixing it, with like, oh, I'm too defensive here and it's causing me to move without direction, without, you know, a good plan. So I'm going to get out of the frying pan, but then you step out and you're like on the burner, right? So let's clarify the Death card. Tell me more about these external circumstances that Gemini is dealing with that's causing this transformation. Oh my goodness. Okay. Knight of Wands. Look, there's fire again. Guys, what's going on? I definitely think you should either check Sagittarius's reading or find out where Sagittarius sits in your chart, and if you have any planets there. How do you identify with Sagittarian energy? And how does that also interact with your Gemini energy, right? So for example, if you have Gemini in the 3rd house, you're going to have a Sagittarius somewhere around the 9th house, right? How do those interact based on the areas of life that those houses? This isn't an astrology podcast, so I'm going to leave that there, but I definitely think there's something about you defining to yourself what this fire energy is. You know, within the tarot, fire is passion, romance, creativity, life force, movement, steady, can be, you know, can be angry, like Mars energy. So let's clarify the Knight of Wands. And within this reading, this is a person to me, because we're talking an external transformative energy involving a Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands as a person is, well, it is player energy. right? Like, it is somebody who is quick and exciting and fun, but also it's not the Knight of Pentacles. It's not even the Knight of Swords, right? It is not the King of Wands. It is the Knight. It is somebody who's, look at this, okay? This tells us a lot. You see these flowers, like, I'll bring you this flower. It's not the Knight of Cups. It's not heart on your sleeve type of energy. It's here's my wand type of energy, if you know what I'm saying, okay? All right, so clarify the Knight of Wands. Tell me about this person who is promoting transformation for Gemini. And yes, I chose the word promoting because I do believe this transformation is very good for you, even if this is extremely difficult. I'm not going to dismiss the fact that this is difficult for you, but I want to keep our eye on the bigger picture because there is so much more to you than this situation. And I think that's what we're bearing out, okay? 54. We got 5-1. I got 5-1-2 in meditation, so there may be a 5 situation here. Okay, we have the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. This is a lack of teamwork in this. So this is like a Knight of Wands, a person who is fiery and passionate with no stability. And then we have a Pentacle in reverse. This is a person who's not even really friendly to you. It's not supportive, is not willing to put in the work in a teamwork kind of sense to make something happen. So Spirit, can you tell me more about this? Okay, well, I want to finish the question, Spirit. Can you tell me more about this Knight of Wands, 3 of Pentacles, and Death card for Gemini, please? What is this? The heat source. Heat source is a Knight of Wands. Interesting. Thank you, Spirit. 4 of Wands. Well, there's a type of stability here. There's a type of structure. What is the structure? Loss. Okay. All right, this is the story that's coming through. Take it how it fits for you, okay? It may not be literal. But this is a person who has something to offer. They're just not offering it to you. And that's forcing some kind of existential crisis where you're like, act, do the things that I know to do. Do the things that I know to do. But you're also not operating out of feeling. Can we, let's clarify this Knight of Swords and Knight of Wands. Thank you, Spirit. 10 of Swords. Well, Gemini. Hold on. Well, Gemini, part of the reason this is forcing transformation too, and this isn't an accusation, it is an observation, right? This person, this situation has a lot of fire and passion. You're operating from a very cerebral, defensive position with a lot of movement that doesn't feel rooted in anything. Yeah, 8 of Pentacles in reverse. This isn't, it's like Sisyphean. It's like a Sisyphus, right? The story of Sisyphus is he has to push that boulder up the hill every day, and it just starts over and over again. This is like, I'm working with no tangibility. I'm putting in a lot of effort into what I'm assuming is a relationship here, Gemini. I'm putting in a lot of effort into this. It's not really getting anywhere. So I'm forced into the fire of big major arcana, right? I had to come out of this. Go within. It's like a mini hermit. I don't know. I don't know why that made me laugh, and I don't know why. I don't know. Okay. But I do think this is interesting too, because, oh, Gemini, this Knight of Wands is you. Look, okay, the way that I'm seeing this is like, this right here is pushing this death up, raising the stakes, raising the temperature. This is the heat source to push you from kind of a cold cerebral energy to a genuine feeling energy. We're going to put an end to this time of operating out of a place of hurt and stress and betrayal and defensiveness, and moving into a place of genuine feeling and an ability to be aware and conscious. I just keep picturing this Four of Wands, like literally pushing all of this, push this Four of Wands. So this could be a home environment. It could be some sort of celebration if we're talking a little bit more mundane. If we're talking bigger, this can be the structure of something, the building of something. And I'm reading it almost like a mini tower, except that because it's not fully a tower yet, you actually have the ability to adjust how the foundation is built. And I think this is really important because I think there's a lot more control available to you here. But you have to harness this fire energy. You have to allow yourself to feel the passion for the thing that you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to continue to just push that boulder up the hill without ever really making it anywhere, without ever really making progress. And I think, Gemini, if you're eating leftovers all the time, it's time to grow, right? So shut the damn door. There is something, okay, so now I want to ask Spirit, what is the door? What's the door that Gemini needs to shut? We're going back to these channeled messages really quick. What's the door that, this deck? Okay. What's the door? I'm back to the sexual magic deck, so I'll let you know if I can't show the picture, okay? What's the door that Gemini needs to shut, Spirit? There's Jupiter energy, I can't show that one. Okay. All right, hold on, I'm gonna untangle this really quick. Number 34, number 11, number 10, number 30. There's some Leo energy here. Leo, Virgo, Jupiter, and Pluto. Leo, Virgo, Jupiter, and Pluto. And just in case this clicks for anybody, I've got jealousy, self-confidence, discovery, and bliss. Shut the damn door on this feeling of jealousy that's affecting your self-confidence. Allow yourself to discover just feeling good. Gemini, is that something you don't let yourself feel? I mean, judging by this frying pan and this fire, I don't think you do let yourself feel good. What a strange decision for a zodiac energy or a sign energy that is childlike, right? Is very expressive in its joy and in its ability to find, like, there's a reason that Gemini gets labeled as a trickster, right? A trickster is the perception of an outsider to the Gemini. The Gemini in trickster energy is not, this isn't meanness, this is play, but like really good play, like in a way that it, and I'm talking like almost literal, like get some Legos out type of play. Imagination, building, exploring, discovering. Tell me about this need for novelty, Spirit, just while I've got this deck out. Tell me about this need for novelty, please. Almost. Need for novelty, Spirit. One more. What's your sun sign, Gem? Is it Gemini? Need for novelty. Truth. That feels a little bit darker. What's the truth, Spirit? It's discovery again. Passion. Aries energy may be significant for you. All right, I'm going to go back to the Elemental Alchemist Oracle. What's the advice for Gemini? What's the best place for Gemini to start playing, finding their passion, seeking novelty, and growing? What's the best place to start this transformation, Spirit? Literally, I got superficial change. Do you need like a haircut, or like there's like do you need to go shopping? That may actually be what you're being guided to do. There's something about like taking care of your external appearance, allowing yourself to reveal the change on the outside that is working on the inside. And I'm getting some message with the connection between like as above, so below. I'm being pulled back to Gemini, Sagittarius, sister sign energy, like pulling on your Sagittarius energy to support your Gemini energy while it's in chrysalis, molting and stuff, right? Okay, what is the challenge for Gemini in doing this? What is the challenge? Laziness, Gemini. All of this over here and we're getting, you feeling lazy? Come on. All right, what's the support, Spirit? We got a challenge, we got to have a support. Thank you. Compassion. Yeah, Gemini, compassion for yourself too. I am going to pull one tarot card for advice, challenge, and support. Okay, Gem? Oh, okay, thank you. Advice. Well, it doesn't seem like this all needs to be knocked down. Remember what I was saying? I've got this look, the Tower in reverse. I think this is confirming this Four of Wands situation here. This isn't an entire structure that you've built, and I think it's because you went out of the frying pan and into the fire and got burned, right? This isn't about the entire structure that you built. It's like paving the road as you walk on it. Build as you go type of thing. It doesn't have to be a complete, like, burn it to the ground and salt the earth, okay? And so the advice there is to lean on what you have in terms of structure already. It's not going to, you're not going to get swept away, I'm hearing, while you do that. Which is an interesting feeling for Gemini. I really feel like Gemini is probably not like your sun or your rising. Like you may be a Gemini moon, or you may have some like pretty prominent more fixed energy, which is fine. You have to be able to work on and pull on these different parts of yourself, because it feels like this Gemini part of you, wherever it sits in your chart, however you express Gemini energy, is really struggling here and it needs some attention, which, all jokes aside, is very childlike. It's very much Gemini of having a need to be catered to in that way. By you, this isn't something you have to externalize or rely on other people for, and you shouldn't. This is something you can find within yourself. And if I'm correct, and whoever's watching this doesn't have like Gemini in their sun or their rising, you also have structure to rely on. See, now the message is circling back. All right, 2 more cards, and then we're going to wrap this up, Gem. All right, what is a challenge? Let's clarify this laziness. Clarify this laziness for Gemini for the challenge, please. Challenge accepted. 2 of Wands. You don't want to make a decision, or you already made a decision? You don't want to make a decision. Gemini. That is very Gemini. I don't want to. I can't decide. They're both valid. All right. Well, let me get one more for the 2 of Wands, please. Can I get one more for the 2 of Wands? Ace of Swords. But okay. Start with the truth. That's my advice. What do you do after that is your business, but start with the truth, okay? And then one more for the support, Spirit, compassion. You do have people around you who will support you, or other parts of yourself that can support you. Thank you, Spirit. 10 of Wands reverse. It doesn't have to be a burden, right? And it's also not your burden, as I'm reading with this compassion. It's not about it being a burden. Okay, 3 of Cups. Definitely a friend group or a support network available to you. And if you don't have one, welcome to my channel. We can make a support network. You're welcome here. We value you. Okay? All right, Gemini, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for letting me read your energy. I hope I'll see you next time. See ya.